Friends, how are we doing? It's May 7th. It's a Wednesday. Good day in the market, wherever you're listening to this, and whether maybe it's Thursday, the 8th by now. But still, everything, we are in it. We are in the market. Let's talk about what's going on here. So today, Fed's talk, Jerome Powell talked, and it kind of went as we expected. Still no rate cuts. Jerome is in this place right now. He's been in this place, and it's infuriating Trump. But it's this place of, Jerome is saying, hey, things are good right now, why mess them up? But Jerome is very cautious and suspicious that in the next 2 months, around probably when we get maybe into like July, August, that things may start to appear on their pieces of paper with their numbers here. Essentially, with job reports getting worse, inflation going up a little bit, because right now we haven't seen too much happen. Obviously, there has been, shipment stoppage, shortage, things of, things coming overseas here. But I mean, for the most part, it's a really up and down situation right now where inflation's at, groceries, gas, goods, all that kind of stuff. So it's just gonna take longer for this reports to really start to come out here with this stuff. And that's essentially what Jerome is saying. Now, Trump, on the other hand, Trump wants rate cuts. He wanted them back in, January. Okay, so Jerome Powell is saying, we're just not doing that right now. We're waiting. We're going to save that. That's going to be the ace up our sleeve in case things were to get bad here. Because still we have the tariffs. This tariff stuff is still not done by any means. The market is kind of like in this la-la stage right now where it's going like, things are great. Problem is, these tariffs are going to come back up here when the 90-day situation is up here at the beginning of July. So July could bring some, red numbers in the market, but that's why it's important to save cash on hand and where you can start piling it into the market. Let's dig into what's going on here. First, just touch on Pltr. Pltr, obviously, I think everybody knows at this point, Pltr had a great quarterly. Just more proof that, Pltr's in the right direction. Pltr locking in huge deals. They're working on a huge deal right now involving Elon Musk even. So there's a lot going on here, and it's proof that when we see Q2, Q3 this year, they're going to be even bigger, and maybe by Q4, maybe we'll be at least just touching $1 billion quarterly. It's possible. It's really possible. So I think Pltr, more than not, obviously with my handy dandy chart that I've made here, right now I think the ballpark with Pltr that we're sitting at is somewhere this 110, 130 at the most at the moment with what it's touched at this point. Obviously, we haven't touched 130 yet, but we're pretty close. On a really good market day, we could get there. I do think that we will see Pltr touch 130 here probably sooner than we think. Now, obviously, I have summer here at 150. I think that is possible too, but I think too that's going to come with more deals with this big deal that's going on right now, this partnership deal, for more positive news to come out to really just like make more investors feel even more comfortable with buying Pltr at these prices. Listen, people are totally fine with buying Pltr at 110, 115, 120, 125, 126. We even saw here for a moment. So they're going to be more than willing to pay 130, 140 here, and probably 150 here, who knows when. And then I put on there October 180. That's the fairy tale. That's, if we can get to that would be amazing. Now obviously, I'm sure there's people going like, well, those prices just don't make sense. I mean, the market cap compared to what the stock price is, it's not making sense. We know that. We've known that. This has been the same rhetoric and conversation with Pltr here for the past year, essentially, year and a half almost here, where really since Pltr's went over $60, it's been like, yeah, it's too expensive. But the problem is, what you're doing here with Pltr, you're buying, 2 quarterlies, almost 3 quarterlies ahead of this point, the expectations, the futures of what's coming here with Pltr. So essentially, you're buying a stock to where people think you're buying into a company where people think, okay, well, maybe by Q4 or Q1 of 2026, Palantir could be at $1 billion quarterly, or flushed over $1 billion quarterly. And then, then you've got people like Dan I saying Palantir is going into $1 trillion market cap. Okay, well, this is really, really pushing the narrative of, well, maybe that's not enough money, saying Palantir at 180, maybe it's going to go more than that. And then you've got all these articles coming out now where it's hard to find real negative articles on Palantir right now. People want to be against it, obviously. I get it. But it's a situation where it keeps producing good numbers, and still it's in this pocket of just bringing in deals. So, and like I said, you've got these articles right now where they're just talking about stock splits. They're talking about, $1 trillion market cap, where Palantir is going to be in 5 years. It's just, it's not stopping. We're not seeing pushback. I mean, Palantir is not only crushing their quarterlies, but they're just blowing them out of the water. I mean, it's not like they're like just making quarterly. They're making quarterly plus beating the last one they had, on expectation. So it's really, it should make you nervous that Palantir could get just completely out of hand here. At $50, we saw this. Okay, at 70 we saw this. At 90 we saw this. At 100, I still think we're seeing the same thing where Palantir is just going to keep running up. I mean, this has been the whole rhetoric of the whole argument with Tesla for the past 10 years. You've always had to pay to play to be a part of Tesla because it's what's coming with Tesla. You're buying into what is going to be with Tesla, and you're still doing that 100%. You've got the robots, you've got the robotaxi, you've got all these things, not to mention the cars and whatever else Elon's going to unleash here. So Palantir is in that a much smaller boat, but a very similar situation where people are just like, they keep producing numbers, they keep producing quarterlies, and they've got Alex Karp, who is just pushing this company and finding these customers. He's finding business, and I think Palantir is just going to continue to break the narrative. It's going to continue to shock the bears. It's going to continue just to not make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. Sometimes the best deals for you as an investor in the best moments that you will make the most money, they don't have to make sense. They just don't. Okay, listen, if you went through the GameStop situation, the AMC situation, certain things that have happened in the market here, just even the past 5 to 8 years, there's been a lot of things that didn't make sense in the market, but people made a lot of money off of it, okay? And Palantir is, it's doing what it wants to do here. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity that people need to take advantage of 100%. So I want to talk about HIMS a little bit. HIMS is a company that I've been watching obviously for a while now because they just came out with the quarterly. And it was a huge quarterly. It was like, oh my God. But I've been watching HIMS since the beginning of last year, and it's just been an amazing movement on the company. Just, amazing. I mean, this is a company that is blowing up so fast, and obviously, HIMS has went through the whole thing of, people are like, well, this isn't going to last. I mean, they're making good money, but, I don't know that we're going to, 2023, they were still doing good, but they were just touching with their expectations on quarterlies. 2024 rolls around and things are really, pushing up quite a bit. Now we're in 2025 and Q1 for 2025 has come out here, and it is the biggest quarterly the company has ever produced. Not to mention it just blew expectation out. I mean, it just like, it hurled all the bears out of the nightclub. I mean, just like the bulls pushed everyone out here. So it is a very, very interesting situation that deserves a lot of attention over here with HIMS. And they're still getting deals, they're getting a lot of movement, and it leaves a lot of people to go like, okay, well, is Q2 going to be touching 700 million quarterly? Is Q3 going to be touching, $800 million quarterly? Can they somewhere closer in that ballpark? What if they do like something like what Robinhood did, and they just like, oh, by the way, we made a 60% top on what we did our last quarterly, and just hit some ridiculous number. These are very real possible things. Anything's possible in the stock market, especially with companies nowadays making insane money. So when I look at HIMS, obviously the main thing I'm seeing right now in all the chat rooms and everything, everyone's talking here is, is HIMS going to go to $100? Can it go to $100? Well, it's already touched pretty much $70 at this point. It's already done that back in February, and that was before these massive quarterlies came out. That's what's so interesting too. So now you have HIMS, who has already touched this, essentially $30 shy of $100 here, but obviously, it takes a lot of money to get to $100 stock price. And now the company, since that last big push in February, it's now at $53. We'll just round it up here. And the company just released the biggest quarterlies they've ever had. So it does leave one to suspect that, well, HIMS could obviously just touch $60, $65 again here very easily on a good market day. So, obviously the company, I will admit 100% is the stock price, the valuation is... It's somewhat of the same conversation over in Pltr land, where it's getting a little expensive for what the market cap / stock price is of it. I 100% agree, because I know somebody's going to say that comment. I get it. But it is another situation of FOMO. It's a situation of what can happen here. It's a situation of, well, what if Q2 comes out here and they just repeat what they did in Q1 with the percentage-wise? Maybe Q1 or Q2 that comes out here, maybe they're going to hit, almost $700 million, for quarterly. That's... Can it happen? Well, sure, it can happen. What if Q3 they're hitting, what if they're like at 7.8 million, 708 million, something like that. This is really getting closer to this, 800 million, 900 million, essentially just rounding up into this. By next year, is this going to be $1 billion quarterly company? That's what a lot of people are starting to wonder here. And like, should we focus more attention on HIMS here than some other stocks? Even I would say, AI stocks. So it is a very interesting situation that is unfolding here in HIMS. I mean, I know people that were watching this stock, but when this, especially Q4 was a big eye opener, but Q1 here is like, okay. I'm just going to, if you were doubting this company, now you're just like, oh, okay, we've got to pay attention to what's going on over here. So, listen, when things are going good, they're just going good. This isn't a company that, like, the thing with HIMS in their history with earnings, it's not like they've ever really went through a bad period of earnings. I mean, they really haven't. I mean, they've always produced pretty good earnings, at least met their what they were supposed to hit, but if not, they've always beaten it. But it's been these like 2024 last year, this company just took off, and this year looks like they are about to completely go crazy in that. So I honestly, I don't know if this stock with as much hype is going on with this stock right now, I don't know if we'll see it around $20 again here anytime soon, if we even will. This stock is really getting people's attention like crazy, and I would be shocked to see it struggle at $30 at this point. So right now there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of people going like, maybe I should just start unloading money in HIMS right now, and people are buying it even at these prices right now. Obviously, it's overpriced. It's much like a Pltr story, obviously, like we've said here, but. I do think once the dust settles, we get about a month away from quarterlies right now. We could have had it could have ran more at that point. I would not be shocked to see the stock run back to that $60-$70. Who knows, maybe more, depending on where the market goes right now. But two, I think there will come a point where the dust will settle with this stock, and it will probably trail back down to 30s. But that could be cheap right now. The $30 stage could be cheap for what HIMS is bringing to the table at this point. So it is a very, very new, it's not new, but it's a situation of it's getting really intense over here with this stock because, you know, it's growing at a very alarming pace here. And friends, just to touch on SoFi, listen, I am telling you, I think everyone's in agreement. Not everyone. There's obviously, this is one of the most highly debated stocks right now where everyone is, you know, just, this is the same old rhetoric with, I'm using that word a lot tonight, but rhetoric with SoFi, where people are saying, hey, the stock is, why is it taking so long for this to happen? Such a good company, such good news around it, acing quarterlies here. You know, this has been the tale of SoFi since, you know, for even 2 years ago. This has been the tale of SoFi. SoFi is doing well. I do believe SoFi is going to hit this peak somewhere in the next year or two where it's going to run. It is going to run. It's going to run to numbers we have not seen before. I do believe this is easily a $20, $30 stock here somewhere in the future, okay? I believe that they are obviously delivering very good quarterlies right now, but I do believe that there will be a quarterly here sooner or later where it's a bombshell of a quarterly, like where oh my God, you know, something like we just saw with HIMS, okay? So I do believe the future is highly bright with SoFi. It is just, obviously, it is taking a lot longer to get to at least even a $20 stage at this point with SoFi. But the proof is in the pudding. SoFi is doing well. It is bringing in money, a lot of money. This is a stock that could easily, by this time next year, be well into billion-dollar quarterly range, okay? Easily. So I would not lose your patience too much with SoFi. I get it. It is taking longer than it should, especially with others. You know, I mean, look what SoFi is bringing in compared to what, you know, HIMS is bringing in. The problem with those two situations is that HIM is growing at such a fast, alarming rate on top of their quarterlies, and SoFi is doing well in their quarterlies, but it's nothing like what a Pltr or even HIMS at this point is even doing. So that's why the growth pattern is just stock price wise is not as intense, but still, SoFi is going to have its day. It's going to have its day. Investors with it that have taken time with it, they will have their moment here sooner or later where SoFi will start jumping into some nice double-digit range here. So, friends, I am done yapping my gums here. Tomorrow, SoundHound will release their quarterlies. I'm very curious to see if they're good, they're okay. Let's see what happens. I think they're going to be good from what we can tell. It's just how good are they going to be? Obviously, the Q4s were amazing, and I hope they keep that going. I hope they at least hit a $40 million quarterly. That would be fantastic. But, you know, obviously we'll get there when we get there. Friends, take care of yourself. Be excited. It is an exciting time to be an investor and to be a part of what's going on in this market. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.